listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey everyone, welcome to the program. This is part 2 with Earl Wright, legendary sportscaster. You remember him from CNN, Fox Sports. If you live in the Atlanta area, then you saw him on WSB TV and also in the greater Detroit area, WDIV TV, the NBC station. And some of you may remember him way back when from Charleston, South Carolina. We talked about Earl's broadcast career. We talked a little bit about golf, his love for it, how he got into it. And in part 2, we're going to talk about what's next for him in the game of golf because he's actively working in it. And he has great stories to tell. And in some ways, selfishly, he kind of mirrors my story. Caddying has always been around in my life, but now it's my living and it's his living as well. Big thanks to our title sponsors, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try a Party. We make our own vodka. We make our own rum. It's much better than some of the other stuff you've been pretending tastes good. And if you are in the golf business and you're not serving Party at your place, you should, because once your golfers try it, they're going to love it and they're going to want more of it. Paradise Craft Distributors is the exclusive distributor in the state of Florida. So try a Party. I think you'll be really happy. And a big thanks to the Golf Real Estate Bros, Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh from suncoastdreams.com. If your dream is to live in a golf resort community like Lakewood National Golf Club, the best golf community in America, which just hosted the Lecom Suncoast Classic on the Korn Ferry Tour, won by Neil Shipley in a 5-hole playoff, then Vince and Gene are the people for you to get you in the neighborhood here. Be my neighbor. Why not be my neighbor? All right. Earl Wright. I enjoyed our earlier conversation, and I want to get into part 2. Caddying. When did that enter the picture in your life?
I think when I was active in the sportscasting years, I was always fascinated with the caddies and watching them. It was hard for me to relate to the professional golfers because I'm not a good golfer. And so I was kind of watching what the caddies do. And I thought, wow, that would be a cool gig. You're inside the ropes. You're always having good weather. You're getting paid to see the country. And then, of course, when I covered golf tournaments, I learned more that it's not quite as glamorous as one might think upon first glance, because if your player doesn't make the cut, you don't make any money. And then, if you're not in the top 25, you're bouncing around and you're not getting rich. You are having some life experiences, though, because you are traveling, in some cases, the world, definitely traveling the nation. And it was always a fascinating gig to me. And when COVID hit in 2020, there were about 30 of us at WSB who were asked to leave. And I was one of those. And at that age, I was 59. And I had 35 years of a lot of fun in sportscasting and in sports television, but I was ready to try something new, and I knew that Peachtree Golf Club in Atlanta had a caddy program, and so I picked up the phone and just called him at random, and the caddy boss said, "You have good timing because we're restarting our caddy program in October of 20 after everybody shut down in March of 20, and I just loved it. Getting paid to be outside, getting paid to exercise, and I love golf, so it worked out great.
Brother, you're telling my story. COVID hit. We had massive layoffs at NBC, and I moved to Florida. I actually got back into broadcasting briefly, worked for the ABC station in Sarasota. It was not the same industry that it was when I started. You know that. I mean, we could do a whole other show on just the dirty side of broadcast. I don't miss it. Do you?
No, I'm very thankful for the 35 years that I had. I got to have a lot of great experiences. I got to attend a lot of big time events. I got to meet people. Still have great friends from the years of broadcasting. And I was starting in my last couple of years at WSB, mainly producing and some fill-in anchoring and reporting. You know, it was, you got to be more proactive with social media. You got to publicize what you're doing. You got to tease the sportscast and all this kind of stuff. And it was changing, and I don't miss it. I'm very thankful for the 35 years that I've had, and I'm enjoying this new life experience.
So what does caddying do for you? You mentioned being outside, the exercise. I imagine you meet some really great people, and I imagine you're recognized quite a bit. How does that go down?
Not quite a bit, but every now and then. One story that I remember is when I was caddying out at Pebble in the summer of 22. You introduce yourself to everybody that you're in the group that you're going to be looping. And I did that. And one of the guys said, "The only Van Earl I've ever heard of is a sportscaster." I said, "That's me." And we went on from there. And every now and then it happens. Some of the caddies will mention to their guys who they're carrying for the former life, but that's not how I introduce myself. I do introduce myself though as Van Earl. That's my first name.
Yes. Yes. Well, you should be proud of your name. Your parents selected that cautiously, or just with a lot of hope. So, so Van Earl it is. And what's the additional part in there? Bishop as well?
Bishop is the middle name and Wright is the last. And my poor son now has to deal with 5 names: Van Earl Bishop Wright Jr.
Wow. How do you fit that in?
Just as that.
Oh, that is so Southern. I mean, that sounds like aristocracy. Just like straight. That's a beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me this: like when I tell people that I caddy full time, and I understand where the question comes from. They always ask me for like a negative story. Do you have some like really bad caddy experiences? The honest answer is I've done thousands of loops in my life, and I've maybe had 3 or 4 bad loops, and I don't know if it was me or if it was them, but the truth is, I think if there's a happier place than a golf course, I don't know where it is. And the guests or the members have such a head start on their happiness, it would take an awful lot to get them going sideways. Do you feel the same way or differently?
No, I feel the same way. And there are folks who are whining with every shot. And I like to ask them, "I'm sorry, do you have a tour card on you?" "What do you mean?" "Well, you're not a professional, so cut yourself a little slack here. You're going to miss a lot of shots. They miss a lot of shots. So let's just have fun and enjoy the great outdoors and enjoy the nice weather." But yes, I agree with you. The majority are very fun and nice folks. They're happy to be out there. And, as long as they don't take it too seriously, I'm not going to take it too seriously either.
Yeah, I feed off their energy and their positivity. I look at it as this. It's such a positive work environment because you're outside, you're doing something you love. It's paid exercise. I mean, my God, people spend a lot of money to be members at gyms, and then they cancel their gym membership because they don't have the discipline. Right. But we have the discipline of knowing if we don't show up, we get fired. Right. So that
and you don't get paid.
That too, right? You take a day off. It's like you don't get. It's like a construction worker. Yes, you can take a day off, but you're not going to be paid.
That's right.
For that day. Does caddying give you a discipline? Let's get personal for a second, because your trouble with substance abuse in the past probably disrupted your life profoundly. I look at caddying as I have to live a clean life. I have to keep myself in good shape. The caddying helps with that, but I do additional stuff. I lift weights so my body can take like the abuse of carrying the bags. I go to bed early, and there's no time for me to get in trouble. Has caddying helped you with your past troubles with substance abuse?
Sure, it's definitely been a positive in that situation, but thankfully I had some years after those bad choices, living and working out in LA, to make better choices and live a healthier lifestyle. But yes, it does, because most of the time caddies have an early call, so you're not going to be out carousing or anything like that. And at my age, it's tough enough for me to wake up that early after living 35 years of the nighttime hours in sports television.
I had to make that adjustment too. I mean, I used to go to bed at because we work nights, right?
Right.
And what time would you go to bed at night? Between 2 and 3 a.m.?
Yeah, 1 or 2 a.m.
Right.
And sleeping in till 10 or so. So you're definitely, the body clock has adjusted. And I'm thankful for that, because it's given me memories of growing up and when I used to wake up early all the time. And the morning hours are very nice.
They are. They are.
Very peaceful.
The drive into the golf course, seeing the sun rising, seeing a little bit of the mist from if there's some fog and everything.
Love that.
Seeing the sprinklers on coming in, and just knowing you're going to a place where somebody needs your help. You can show them, you can take a good day and make it even better. That's what keeps bringing me back. And I got to imagine that was that's a real contrast from what life was like in LA. Can you talk about LA? What is it about that place? Where did you get sideways? What happened?
Well, I was fortunate enough to land a job with Fox Sports Net. I think it was their third, maybe fourth year in operation. And the new boss took a liking to me, and he teamed me up with Kevin Frazier. And Kevin has gone on to great success as a broadcaster with Entertainment Tonight and doing many other things. And he's really good too. But anyway, we were together, and we felt like we were making ESPN a little nervous, because CNN had eliminated sports from their programming. So there was an opening there. And all the comments we were hearing through the grapevine is that ESPN was starting to take notice. And we were following all the regional sports games. And that was a good setup. But then the bosses decided we were not moving fast enough. Well, ESPN had a 20-year head start on us, so you got to give us a little time, but they didn't see it that way. And they hired Keith Olbermann and Chris Myers from ESPN, and I got kicked to the midnight hour, the last hour that we broadcast the shows. And me and my ego did not take that well at all. And I was an angry man, resentful. And then I found cocaine, and everything went sideways after that. It was not a very, very good time in my life. So thankfully, my wife at the time said, get help or get out. And thankfully, again, I was finally wise enough to find some help. And it was a great experience to go into treatment. And in fact, I was planning on 30 days, and they said, you should stay another 30. I'm like, let's do it. So I thoroughly enjoyed that life experience and still have friends from that experience, and certainly was what I needed.
So how long have you been sober now?
Well, I was addicted to cocaine at that time. And so I don't do that anymore, obviously. I'll have a couple of beers, but I'm not nearly the out of control person that I used to be. And I have a lot more purpose in my life, and I'm very thankful for that.
When you got the cocaine thing under, did it cost?
Eliminated.
Yeah.
I finally got it eliminated from my life, I should say.
Yeah. What did it do to your family? What's your relationship like with your kids now?
Thankfully, I'm blessed with three wonderful adult children and have made amends with them. And they've been accepting and loving of that. But before I made amends, they were still great young people. Did end up getting divorced, and there's still a little scar tissue from that. But both my former wife and myself have gotten through that, and we've remained good friends, and I'm so thankful for that. And that's really was the number one objective for the two of us when we decided to part, was let's, treat each other with respect and courtesy so children will not incur more damage or more challenges. And so I'm very thankful to her for that. And I'm proud that we have been able to maintain a good, positive friendship. And I'm very blessed with three children who are so beautiful and successful all in their own right. So.
Ben Earl Wright is our guest here, legendary broadcaster, did long stints with CNN and also Fox Sportsnet, WDIV TV in Detroit, and also WSB TV in his hometown, Atlanta, Georgia. So caddying, what do you try to bring this to the table as a caddy? What do you think makes a good caddy?
Paying attention, putting your phone away, and trying to read people and communicating with them, whether it's the putting green or the first hole. Do you prefer to read your own putts? Would you like me to speak up? And usually I say, you know what? Some of them say, no, I need all the help I can get. So, okay, so I'll offer some reads. And some of them, just feel them out, reading people. But I think it's a customer service job first and foremost, in my opinion. And I always try to stay one step ahead of what they might need on the next shot, on the next hole, and be prepared to hand them the driver when they're walking off the green, those kind of things. And so we're in the background and we're hopefully adding to their round and adding enjoyment to it. And customer service, though, I think is the one thing that I always try to remind myself of when I'm out there looping.
I just try to be relentlessly positive, all right? Because everybody's going to hit a bad shot. And I'll just say, hey, it's no big deal. Look, that's not a bad place to miss it. We can get it up and down. I always try to read the room, get a feel for it. Are these the type of folks that want a lot of information? If they're scratch golfers, you usually don't have to read many putts for them, because I know the value of conviction. If he thinks it's right edge, then that's his best shot. Unless it's so egregious and I'm like, no, it's actually a half a cup out. I keep my mouth shut and I try and give them what they want. Does this work for you? Do you think a good caddy is kind of like a good waiter or waitress? Always there when you need them, but not just constantly filling up your water glass, wiping crumbs off the tablecloth?
Totally agree. You want to be in the background, but always be there when they might need it. And I didn't mention it, but I totally agree with you, Kevin. I'm focused on giving them positive feedback. That's all right. Par 5. We can still get a par. Don't worry about it. We can get up and down, and try to share positive energy with the golfers, my customers, for the day.
Yeah. And just remember, it's their day. It's not our day. We can certainly add to the day, but we could subtract to it if we're too involved, or if our stories are maybe not appropriate for the audience that's there, or the jokes we might tell, because they'll ask us for story. I mean, once they know like what you've done, they certainly ask me, and I've always got a couple in my pocket, but it's important to know, like, hey, would this go over well? with them.
Yes.
Best part of the show, Gene Walsh, once again, crashing the podcast. Are you here for me or for Van Earl? Be honest.
Well, Van Earl, of course, but I'm here for moral support for you.
Okay, sounds good. Gene Walsh, part of the Vince Vizicaro team, suncoaststreams.com. So we're coming off a really cool week here. We had the Lecom Suncoast Classic, 7th edition of it. And how would you say the vibe was around the neighborhood during the event?
Oh, there's definitely a lot of people from all over who get to see our neighborhood. So it's wonderful. And everybody seems happy. You know, people are just enjoying themselves, watching the players, watching golf, just enjoying the neighborhood, all of the amenities. It's really wonderful.
Your newest edition team member, Samantha, our daughter, she had a blast, didn't she?
She did. Oh my gosh, she loved watching the players.
Well, I took a walk around and with my phone, I took some video and some pictures. You want to have a look?
I'd love to see him. Yes.
So tell me this, does an event like the Lecom Suncoast Classic, does it help sales?
I think it does because it draws people to the neighborhood. They get to see the wonderful courses. We have top courses in the state, and they see how beautifully they are maintained and how players get to enjoy them. So it really showcases the playing and the whole neighborhood.
I actually had a player and his dad who were tooling around on a golf cart. I was out on the front lawn playing with the dog, and they pulled over and they started talking real estate and asked about prices. How are prices around the neighborhood?
It's definitely shifting to a buyer's market for the condos. Single family homes, still a balanced market, but there's plenty of opportunity here. So if you're interested, come on and take a look.
You got any little nuggets in your pocket?
Oh, we had this great condo that we just listed last week. We were able to do photography. It's on the 9th hole of Commanders. So we were able to get the photos of the Corn Ferry stage set up right next to the clubhouse. So it's very, very cool. So you'll have to check it out on our website, suncoaststreams.com.
That's cool. And that is a great location because you're right on top of everything. And the 9th hole on the Commander course is actually 18. They switched to the 9. So that's exactly what it is. Gene Walsh, suncoaststreams.com. Thanks, honey.
How is your golf? You said you're not very good. I mean, what's not very good? Tell me, level with me.
I'm a bogey golfer in the 90s. And I'm very passionate in my younger years. Had a lot of chances to play as a sportscaster, was invited to, local charity events, and definitely had a passion for them. But then I started hitting it so bad it wasn't enjoyable for me. And I'll go to the range every now and then, but, not every day. After being outside for 4 or 5 hours, I just don't have the passion that I used to have for playing the sport, but I still have a passion for the sport, and I'm thankful for that.
Well, it's tough to caddy after you loop. There's no doubt about it. Maybe that's why my game has suffered. You just can't make the swings. You're not as loose.
Yeah.
I still want to play, and then I'm just like, why am I playing? I am not prepared for this. I haven't stretched properly. I need a hot tub, maybe a cold bath.
Exactly.
But I got a pathology I can't help myself in, so I just slog through it, and then I hate myself at times. But then I just keep coming back for more, so I must love it.
It is crazy how addictive the game is.
Oh, no question about it. Tell me a good golf story. I'm sure you've met some of the game's greats. Let me hear them.
Well, I've had the blessing to be able to go to the Masters pretty much for the last 50 years. And Dad was a student at South Carolina and was a big fan of Bobby Jones. And that was when they were begging people to pay $3 a day to come check out their new tournament in the late 40s. And so that's one story that I am very blessed to share, that I've been able to go to the Masters really for the last 50 years. I haven't attended 50 years in a row, but I have been able to attend about 40 of them. And a golf story. Are you talking about caddying mainly? Or
No.
One story.
If you've ever met,
when I had the chance to cover the Masters for Fox Sports, I had met Fred Couples at the LA Open, which of course is before Augusta. And I was covering the Masters, and he was playing a practice round, and I was walking behind the ropes, and I yelled, or I grumbled, "Freddie!" And he looked over, like, "Hey, Van Earl, get on over here." And I'm like, I'm not allowed to get over here. So I go onto the ropes and we chat. And then that year, I happened to win the media lottery to be able to play on Monday after the Masters.
Wow.
Which was awesome. And sidebar, I had been telling my wife during that whole week, still married, I hope I can get this lottery. I'll be coming home a day late if I do, blah, 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 blah. But, I was obsessed with it. And I called up when I found out I was going to play on Monday. I called the house, and my oldest, Alexandra, answered the phone, and I said, Allie, I won. And she dropped the phone and went running through the house. Daddy won the Masters. So then later that day, I'm interviewing some guys who were not in contention as they're coming off 18 and going past the big tree into the locker room. And I talked to Freddie. I'm like, any tips for tomorrow? I won the media lottery. I get to tee it up out here. He's like, yeah, you have no chance. No chance whatsoever. And then he's like, stay here for a minute. And so I'm hanging around interviewing some other guys, and he comes back and he gives me a dozen of his golf balls. He's like, you're going to need every one of these. So that was really cool.
Tell me the nerves on the first tee.
Oh my gosh. As intense as any. And that goes back to playing high school golf in my first ever tournament. I mean, as intense as any. And I yanked it into the trees. We started on 10. And I went triple bogey, double bogey, bogey, par. And then I had a lot of other doubles. But I shot a Gretzky, and I broke 100.
Oh, good for you. Yeah. Good for you. I mean, was that like...
For a hack like me, that was pretty good.
Oh my gosh, that what a dream come true. I've never set foot on the grounds, but I'll tell you a master story, and I know you'll appreciate this. So I met the head pro, JJ Weaver, on Cape Cod years ago, and I asked him, I said, JJ, how did you get this job? And he goes, well, I was an assistant along with Michael Breed, who was on Golf Channel for a number of years.
Right.
And then when the longtime head pro was retiring, they were about to launch a national search. And then Hootie Johnson, who was the chairman at the time, goes, well, hold on. We got two fine young men right here. Why don't we pick one of those? And JJ said they picked him, and he didn't know why. And what a job. And so I said, JJ, what's your job like? And then I asked him, maybe not the most cool thing. I'm like, do you make a lot of money? And he goes, He said, Kevin, I look out my window every day and see a grown man in tears on the first tee. That's all I need. Does that sound about right, Van Earl?
Oh, yeah. And having the opportunity to cover Super Bowls, Final Fours, National Championship games, Stanley Cup Finals, World Series, nothing compares to the Masters. There is no other sporting event. I wasn't an entertainment reporter, but the Oscars, whatever, blah, blah, nothing compares to the Masters. It is so well run, so beautifully run, where golf is the story, and those who can play it and compete become the story. But the way they run the tournament and just the aura that they have created, it's their private invitational tournament. And they're not in the PGA, they're not in the USGA, they're not in the Royal and Ancient, they're their own thing. And they rose above the LIV and PGA battle when it first started. No, you're former champion. This is our tournament. We don't have anything to do with those organizations. We hold this tournament every year, and we'll invite who we choose to invite. And one of our qualifications is former champions, and they'll be here. Or whatever else a LIV golfer might achieve to earn an invitation to the Masters.
It just seems like hallowed ground. I mean, I can't believe I haven't been there before, but it'd be like a pilgrimage, like retracing your family roots for me to Ireland. I just think it would be so spiritual in its essence, and I got to get there, and maybe you and I can hook up there sometime. I think that'd be great. So where are you caddying now?
I've been working at a new place called Apogee in South Florida, Hobe Sound. And it was created by the owner of Sabonic on Long Island, Michael Pascucci, and he teamed up with the owner of the Dolphins, Stephen Ross, who's a very successful real estate developer guy. And it's the best caddy job I've ever had. And it's been a wonderful experience. And I hope it will continue for the next few winters. And this summer, I'm going to Wingfoot. And we'll be there May into October, and very much looking forward to that place that has so much prestige and history to it.
I just caddied for some guys from Wingfoot today.
Oh, cool.
You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I mean, what's not to love about it? It's so good. And I know they're going to like having you. You caddied at Pebble as well. You caddied at Peachtree. You did
Started at Peachtree, went down to PGA National, went to Whistling Straits, went to Sea Island, back to South Florida, went to Pebble and Cypress. And this past few summers, I've been at the Honors Course outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I've worked at Shore Acres north of Chicago and other Tennessee courses for member guests. So I've worked a total of between 25 and 30 courses around the country, working various events. And I love moving around and, experiencing different parts of the country.
How do you do that? Where are you living? Do you have a permanent address? What's going on with the living arrangements?
My older brother and his wife have been very kind to let me use their address for my regular address. I found out when I started this nomadic life that you can change your address only so many times with the U.S. Post Office. So they've been nice enough to let me use their address, and they send me whatever mail I might have. But I found a terrific website called Furnished Finder, which was created for traveling nurses, and it works great for traveling golf caddies because they're looking for long-term rentals, not an Airbnb, but a 3 or 6 month renter. So it's great. I donated all my belongings to a nonprofit. And now just travel with my clothes and off to the next adventure.
That's cool. Are you shacking up with other guys? Are you sharing expenses, or you're a lone wolf?
I don't like the term shacking up, but
I'm sorry. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yes. Share a house with 3 other caddies here in Hobe Sound. And last few summers, just living by myself, but able to find places through that great website and getting paid to see the country as well.
What's it like living with 3 other caddies, though? I got to know.
Thankfully, we're all clean. and they accepted my mandate. Drop your shoes at the door. We clean up after ourselves, and our common area is kept spotless. And I'd be willing to challenge any caddy house in the nation or the world that can be as clean as the one we have. We're respectful of each other, and thankfully it's working out.
That's cool. All right, Van Earl, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. So how many years left do you think you have caddying?
60. I'm 63 years of age, and I hope to do this until 70. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Hope my body can hold up. And that's really the only objective that I have. Just keep moving around and keep smiling and maintain that attitude of gratitude.
Yeah, I love it. So you've seen a lot of golf. You've played it, although not too well, based on your master story and bogey golf, which is better than statistically most people that play. If you had one, but you've seen enough golf, so you know what works and what doesn't. If you had one tip to give that you know would help anybody of any level, what's your silver bullet?
Be kind to yourself. You're not a pro. Keep your eye on the ball. There are 3 things I've learned while caddying. Father Time is undefeated. We can't do anything about the weather. And if you want to see a bad golf shot, just look up. Keep your eye on the ball.
And keep it simple. Just have the attitude of gratitude to play the game, to serve the game. And I think we're both speaking the same language on that. Van Earl, what a pleasure. You're welcome to come back anytime. And hopefully we can hook up on the golf, maybe do a loop together or play around the golf together. And thanks for being so honest just about your life, even the hard parts and everything, because I just think there's a strength in sharing vulnerability because we all have problems. And I want to tell the stories of recovery and redemption where people have done stuff. And I'm thankful for every day I have on the golf course. And I think you feel the same as well. And I'm thankful for the time that you shared for me and for inspiring me as a young broadcaster who's now over the hill, just like you are. We're has-beens in the broadcast.
A lot of kind words there, Kevin. So thank you very much for your interest in inviting me onto your show, and congrats on all your success.
Thanks so much. Van Earl Wright has been our guest here on Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try a Party. You'll be glad you did. And if your dream is to live in a golf resort community like Lakewood National in the greater Sarasota area, nobody better than the golf real estate pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Vizicaro, suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties. For Van Earl Wright, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You